Okay, good morning, everyone. So we'll be continuing reading the book Lean UX, and today I'll be covering the summary of the chapter 3, that is Vision, Framing, and Outcomes. I am Ms. Nandan Sheen Singh Toor. I work as a senior product owner and principal global services, and this is going to be our agenda today. So we'll focus on a lot of fundamental concepts highlighted and highlight the crucial role of these concepts in the Lean UX methodology. So I'll just yeah. So when we talk about the key elements in this chapter, there are some of these definitions or these concepts that are mentioned on the screen. For example, assumptions. If I were to summarize it, I would say like what we believe to be true. Like we all have assumptions in daily life as well, but when we are doing our work, especially creating a product or going about uh, or thinking about a new product, we begin by a lot of assumption. That is the first step always. And then there is this beautiful concept of hypothesis. These are more granular aspects of our assumptions, or or if you dig more deep into it, if you have a lot of assumptions, you go deep into it, you would then go to the next step, that is hypothesis. And then there's concept outcome. We might have touched it a lot of times, you might have heard it a lot of times. So these are signs we seek from the market to help us validate or invalidate our hypothesis, or the author who said defining clear outcomes and how they guide the hypothesis formulations. And then their personas, and these are very important because we need to understand the role of persona, user needs and behavior, and how they inform product development. Because when we are designing a product, going about creating one, there are a lot of people who might be using it. How do we go through that? How do we understand what kind of users are there? Who do we prioritize? So a lot of those concepts will be shared today. And then we'll be going through and understanding what a feature are, how are they created, how do they come about. So how features are tangible manifestations of hypothesis and contribute to achieving desired results. So a lot of these concepts will be touched today. So the first one being assumptions. So assumptions as a whole are nothing but what we believe to be true. Or assumptions are initial beliefs about the product, the users, and market, and that guide the lean use process. Uh, the process. So declaring assumptions allows a team or an individual, for example, who is ever in the product role at the beginning, create a common starting point. So someone who has talked to the stakeholder, they have a common starting point. They might have a problem statement or whatever they might have heard. So maybe from there they'll start this. I'm sure someone who, for example, who is creating a startup today, they might have heard or they have some assumptions in their mind. So this is something that is not happening true. Let me build one. So that something is not working is first of all an assumption, because something that particular thing they think that maybe taxi service is not good. Maybe it's good everywhere else rather than their spot. So that is the first assumption someone who might have created Uber, Ola might have thought. So, and when we are working in the lean US methodology, we do it as a team so that everybody, expose comes up with what they're feeling about it, their viewpoints on the same page. And if we do that as a team exercise, uh, we what kind of we kind of on the summary point, what we kind of learn is we are all on the same page at the end, rather than having a page in front of us and all talking about it. When we do as an exercise, this has been observed that we are at the same page at the end. And how do we declare assumptions? So there are different methodologies of understanding, how do we go about it. So the author in this book has said that what we can do is we can first of all try to know our customer and use an SME. Okay, so this is our customer. So the SME could be someone. So initially, if you have a lot of complaints around the chatbot, so maybe we'll have a market leader or someone who has listened to all those complaints, have registered them, talked to a few customers, maybe call them in, and then understand to them what the problem is. And then understanding how the current process works. If we are improving something, we first need to know what is the current state of it. For example, I gave the author has mentioned something about the chat services. Then what we want to do is we want to go through all the analysis that was there, all the data that was there, all the reports. And if possible, there are some tools like Hotjar and stuff. If we are able to kind of know what was the user path in this application, what they were exactly doing, why they went through certain course of action. So that will kind of help us know or help us step into the customer shoe. And we will also would like to know what were the past attempts to solve this kind of problems. Were there something? because if we get to know them, we can kind of strike those assumptions or the kind of work we are about to do. And then what our competition is doing. So once we have an idea, I think we are good to go from the assumptions type. Once we have that, the first step is to create a problem statement. So if we have it, we don't kind of deviate and stick to what's important. So if we have a lot of this stuff after this meeting, a lot of points would come up. But our first and foremost point would be, let's create a problem statement. For example, I gave you the example of taxi services. Maybe if there is no clear end, we don't have some bounties, there is nothing that will stop us from space travel as well. We can go from anywhere to anywhere. So if we have a problem statement, we only want to look at travel between cities, in within our cities, into the between the states, just have a basic taxi service. Maybe that is the problem statement. So maybe we'll revolve around that. So that is the importance of having a problem statement. So there are three elements to having a problem statement. So the current goal of the product or the system, what the stakeholders want, and an explicit request for important that doesn't dictate a specific solution. So we want to have these elements that will help us create a better problem statement. And after you have a problem statement, there are a lot of assumptions again. Okay, this is a proper goal. How do I go about it? Okay, now let's start writing those assumptions again. And we can ask, if we skip certain assumptions, how bad would it be? So for example, again, when deciding about a taxi services, a lot again, if we still have boundaries, there are n number of people in the team, and plus so many ideas would come up, right? But again, we have to ask ourselves, what is the most important idea? And again, everybody would be like, so this is my assumption, maybe this is important, but you have to use this framework to ask, what if I skip this assumption at this point of time? Will I still be able to work? So this is a very important assumption worksheet the author has used in the past. So for example, on the left you see business assumptions, on the right you see user assumptions. So in my particular case as well, in our company, Abdul and their group have been very helpful, and we have used this right framework very extensively. Like, we would always ask, who is our user, where does our product fit in this work or life, what problems does our product solve, when or how is our product used, what features are important, how should our product look and behave. So just a snippet I would use, we were creating some product and we had n number of ideas in front of us. But guys, believe me, when we start asking these basic questions, and some of these questions would not fit for everybody, it will be different for different products or the kind of market you are in. But when you keep on asking, but you can still go about this exercise. But when you keep on asking these questions again and again, first of all, you understand your product, your customer market, everything about what you're doing. You have more clarity around it, and it saves ample amount of time for you. And then on the left hand side, you see a lot of business assumptions. For example, I believe my customer have a need to. Sometimes we don't. So why they've mentioned these business assumptions is, sometimes when you're going about solving a product, maybe some of these questions won't come into your mind, but they come in very handy. For example, I believe my customers have a dash need to, so we need to know what are the needs of the customer. Their needs can be solved with these things that I'm going to do, or how I'm the kind of functionalities I'll be bringing into my application. Their needs that I had previously mentioned, they'll be solved. And then my initial customers are, or will be, for example, school kids, normal people commuting in taxis, example, whatever, XYZ. And the number one value a customer wants to get out of my service, again, they're prioritizing the assumptions. A lot of assumptions might have come up, they're prioritizing here. And the customer can also get these additional benefits if I do these certain things. So you can see, if you are basically asking these questions, a lot of ideas, the kind of work you are doing into your own personal spaces, a lot of them start getting answered. Something that you might have previously done as well in your team or at your workplace. I suggest that you go through these later on and see how true some of these things are when you think about it loud. Again, some beautiful descriptions were there in the book. For example, on the right hand below side, you can see where 4 quadrants. It is divided into high risk, low risk, unknowns, and knowns. So for example, you have assumptions through on all the 4 quadrants, but the area that is highlighted, the author suggested, let us focus on these that are very high risk and which are unknowns, because certainly there would be knowns and which will be low risk. We kind of know the answer to them, right? We'll be able to go about them, but we need to know what those high risks are and what the unknowns are. So we need to go deep into that space. So doing a solve for that for the customer. again, on the top left side, there is a beautiful diagram, kind of very counterintuitive, but it starts with declaring assumptions. Maybe sometimes we would go for creating an MVP, but again we would come back to our assumptions. Similarly, we'll have some assumptions, then we'll go for some feedback and research, but maybe we can again jump to our assumptions. Okay, was it actually right or wrong? Maybe kind of validate some of them, and then maybe we would run an experiment sometimes, and then again this loop from here to there from different components would jump here and there. So this is a very beautiful exercise, kind of uh, seems very kind of itchy at the front, but if you think how you might have gone about building something, if you have built something from the very bottoms up approach, you will see that's how true this is. So the next component is hypothesis. So, I'll describe how hypothesis as the next step after identifying those problem assumptions are. So now using those assumptions, we can state and write a hypothesis statement. So author has given us basic framework. What we can do is, what are hypotheses? We can write them in the form of these, in this following way. So we can write, we believe XYZ is true, and we will know that XYZ is true because the market results or the feedback will tell you this. So the author has suggested this is a very important framework. When you're doing a lot of assumptions, you need to come to a basic hypothesis and then go about it. But sometimes what happens is these problem statements are too large on their own that you cannot just write an hypothesis on their own. So what you can do is you can then again write a sub-hypothesis. So a very beautiful way of writing a sub-hypothesis, for example, I've just written, just mentioned how an hypothesis is that we believe ABC is to be true, and we will know that ABC is true because due to the market results. And when we think about sub hypothesis, we can again dumb it down in some basic terms. So we will write that we believe doing ABC for XYZ, for the person who we are doing this, our target audience, will achieve us XYZ again, and it will be true when I'm able to achieve ABC again. So again, if you just hear it out, the sub hypothesis, it brings us more clarity to what we're trying to do. So when in my mind I was reading this book, I was going through the work that I had previously done or created, and it was so true, this statement. I wish I knew this one. Like if I had written it down in front of me as a team, a lot of these questions I would have been able to answer at that point of time. So we believe doing something for someone will achieve us this, and it will be true only when I'll be able to see ABC again in front of me. Then when we have a lot of these hypotheses, we have to finalize them by using, by what outcomes we want out of this hypothesis. So for example, after doing this exercise as well, a lot of hypotheses are there. So how do we finalize these hypotheses? By ensuring that we ask ourselves what outcomes we want, personas we want for, and a set of features that will help us. So once we have that, then again we can have some idea, okay, these are the important ones, maybe this is the direction I want to go in. And then there is this concept of outcomes. So outcomes represent the desired results. So change in user behavior that validate hypothesis success. Again, this has been talked a lot in the industry, outcome versus output. And this whole book helps us go about the approach of having an outcome based mindset rather than an output based mindset. For example, I want to have ABC functionality for my user, or I want to have 100,000 users. Okay, that could be output, but or I will have the TAT reduce this year by 15%. Okay, that would be good, but we need to have an outcome based mindset, maybe having the best ratings, having the best success rate out there, achieving a best industry standard awards. So a larger mindset where you are not just thinking for some small brownie points, rather than thinking from the top or having a eagle's eye view and thinking from the product from that point of time. So when we are, then what we do once we have those outcomes, when we start thinking about them, is we create hypothesis from outcomes. So outcome drive hypothesis creation and testing. So this is a very important framework. So, but if you read about it or try doing it first time, it is kind of very confusing. It was for me as well when I was thinking of examples. But again, the author has given a brilliant example of how they went about writing KPIs, or in our particular case, Abdul helped us write OKRs at our workplace. So what happens is when you're thinking about outcomes, a lot of North Star goals, usually there are a lot of time there are North Star goals. So you can deviate from your path a lot of times. But what gets you, or what helps you stick to your problem statement or those outcomes or from where you began, is when you have certain OKRs in front of you. Okay, what I want to achieve, how will I say I have achieved that, and what I need to do to achieve those points. So this was some kind of framework that we had used, and the author has used some similar. They've written an example shown on the board, so this might be kind of blurry, but this is how they have given an example of a company who are writing these KPIs, and how these KPIs might have helped is, if you write a lot of these things down is, I want this, and how will I achieve that, what things I need to do to achieve them. This will kind of help you stick down to those outcomes. And then we finally come to the personas. So in the lean UX frame, so first of all, personas are these frictional kind of representations of the target users based on our research or and assumptions. And in lean UX methodology, how we go about personas is, first we start with assumptions, then we go back to researching it, then we validate those assumptions, then we create those proto personas. So what is proto persona? So we talk about who is using our application or will be using our application and product, and why do we think they will be using. So it is kind of digging deep at every level. First of all, we thought, okay, my user will be my, if you're thinking about a taxi service, maybe we'll start with some school going kids, college going kids. Then if we go deep, okay, why do you think we will have them? Maybe we can have commuters working from this city to that city, maybe people who do a lot of interstate travel. So once you, and my, if it is my guess, okay, some interstate people who commute from one state to another, maybe they'll need a taxi as well. So once you have all these personas in front of you, when you start asking more questions, you dig deep. That is how, when you create a proto persona. So there is a methodology of creating this proto persona. You can have these 4 quadrants, and on the left top side, on the right top side, you can have the all the behavioral demographic aspects of a person. On the left top side, we can create a basic sketch of the person, and just describe the person in a few words over there. On the left bottom side, we can write all the pain points of the customer, and on the right bottom side, uh, the kind of potential solutions we have. For example, here they mentioned Susan, 32, NYC, working mom. On the right top side, we see the behavioral demographics, that she's married, she has 2 kids, working long days as a lawyer, husband, and values time and family. So a lot of these things comes in handy. For example, there was an example in the book where they mentioned the age of the customer. He's a 52-year-old maybe, and they were thinking from a mobile Apple user point of view, and they had mentioned that a lot of times just having the age won't help. So that is where this behavioral aspect comes into play. Maybe he's 52-year-old, but he's tech savvy. Maybe he had built these softwares and mobiles, these devices himself in the past. So he could be an ideal person to use them, have a say about it, in the early phase. So that is where these behavioral demographic thing comes into play. Then again, we can, when write down all the needs, and then again, what could be the potential solutions for this particular customer. Similar to this, when we were solving a problem in our organization, we had used another concept very similar to it, that was empathy mapping. There again, there is a diagram that is on its own mentioned. How we go about it is, we just fill that diagram. Who are we solving for? What do you think? Where do you think this particular customer that we're drawing at that point of time, what do you think he kind of hears from this peers? What do you think he might need? So very similarly, so when you are doing this exercise as a team, a lot of, when someone might think A, B, C, but when you have a healthy discussions, believe me, we are able to come down on a very basic or common consensus at some level, maybe not 100%, but we are able to do that. And then we finally come to a feature. So features are specific functionalities or improvements in the product designed to achieve our desired outcomes. So in Unix, feature is there to serve business. So this is very important. It is not just to be there to have some deliverable. It is there to serve business. So how do we go about creating a feature? Is we brainstorm them as a team. What we can do is we can use all that sub hypothesis that we had mentioned before, the personas, all the kind of data we had collected before. For example, the sub hypothesis, the persona mapping, the proto personas that we had, then maybe also having in front of us the outcomes, the KPI, the OKRs that we have read. When we have all that data in front of us, we can, that is when I think we are in a good way or a good place to write a feature. So what the customer has, the author in this book has given example as well, how we can write features, and then maybe we can prioritize them later. So what we can do is there we can have 3 columns for us. For example, in the first column, we'll be writing all the points like we will be doing this, and in the second column we will be writing we will be doing whatever work we're going to do for, and in order to achieve why we are doing this, and we'll be giving the reason behind doing all that work in the third column. So when you use this framework, again you are kind of constantly asking yourself questions and validating a lot of stuff that you are again writing again after using so much funnels. A lot of assumptions again at the end of the day come with all the work. No work can be without assumptions, no matter how much data you use. So maybe if you have 100% data, great, that could be an ideal scenario. But every kind of problem statement, when you look at it from different angles, you might have also observed it for your personal work, some kind of assumptions are always attached. But when you keep on constantly asking yourself these questions, move your work through these certain frameworks, a lot of these assumptions will dumb down or will be moved away. So these were the different aspects or the different important points that are discussed in the chapter 3. And over to you, Dipti.
Masanan,
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for the presentation. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, first one is regarding the assumptions. So, if you talk in layman's language, assumptions are nothing but the product owner's requirements. Is it correct understanding? And the second thing is, could you just differentiate between uh, hypothesis and persona? Means I'm not able to understand the difference there.
Okay. So first of all, the first question, that are assumptions the requirement that an product owner, any statement or problem statement that a person gets. For example, a product owner meets with the stakeholders and they said we need to improve the functionality of how we deliver some of our letters. For example, there's a company that delivers letters on their birthday, so we need to go about how we need to improve the delivery part of the system, maybe have a better funnel, whatever. The first, when you think, okay, we have a problem statement, the first idea, when the first kind of the ideas that you get, we begin with assumptions. When we don't have any data with us, we don't have any pain points, we just think of the problem statement. A lot of assumptions kind of keep coming on it, coming to us. That is how a lot of us would have done when we would have built a lot of these projects in our back in the colleges as well, right? We had a basic idea, okay, I'll build around it, but maybe we need this because, so we, without having any idea, without having any particular proof, we just start going about a particular. I think that is, if you think from a very high level, for example, I had written this for myself in my terms. Assumption is what we believe to be true. Anything that we believe to be true, maybe that is false at the end of the exercises or the framework that the author has stated once we go through these exercises. But at the first moment, this is basically what we believe to be true, and that is how kind of every work that we do kind of starts. Abdul, Dipti, would you like to add on that?
I will let Dipti to add, then I will share my view.
Okay. So who was asking that? Atta, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Dipti.
Yeah. So assumption is, as Masnandan already explained, like I'm giving my requirement, I'm the product sponsor, and you are the team member. So as I tell you, and you start developing, that's the, maybe with the time constraint and everything, team ends up doing that. But instead of doing that, personalize something, you want to cross verify your assumption, what the requirement I gave. And that's how you create those or clarify those requirements by creating different personas. Persona is nothing but understanding the end user better with some with a hypothesis of assuming some personality who is an end user and specifying some requirement, who is going to use your product later. Like as an example, in Masnandan's case, that one female, right? Assumption persona is already mentioned as in one female of 35 age having 2 kids or 3 kids. And then actually you're going to use that product. Is it making sense?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
I
Abdul
will
can
just
add something more. You're
Abdul,
on
you're on
mute,
mute.
Abdul.
Yeah, I will add some more light over here. See, at the moment, consider assumption and hypothesis are the equal interchangeable words. Okay, at the moment, because we are learning this one. So you are creating certain dashboard. Okay, certain dashboard, and the assumption is that that is going to be used by those business people. Okay, for their decision making work. For their decision making work, you don't know what is that decision making work, and you start building that data driven, or suppose you are from the business intelligence background, you start building your tools, you are start coding, you are creating the dashboard. As per that hypothesis, they are going to use it. Okay, and this application is going to help, right? Because this is always at the at our back end, back of the mind, right? If I build this one, then they are going to use for so and so purpose, and that is going to solve so and so problem. And what is that so and so that we always keep as the assumption? Okay, just take the example. If you are from the business, if you are the business analyst, and you start building that the feature related to that data feature. Okay, data analytics. What do you believe? That feature is going to solve some problem. So what the author is saying, what is that assumption? Check that upfront. What is that assumption? Check that upfront. Ask, okay, if you use this one, what is, how it is going to helpful for you? What problem it is going to solve? So that assumption, so that you are thinking it is going to be used, it is going to be useful, it is going to, they will this, they will use this feature or the user story for so and so purpose. So that he is talking about, and we need to clarify, we need to do the discovery, we need to kind of make sure your hypothesis is right. Okay, so that is the whole flow. And when we speak about the persona, it is the group of people. It is a group of people who are doing some kind of task. It might be one person. Just take the admin department. Admin department in any company. Okay, who's taking care of the all the logistic part very broadly. Okay, that is very high. Also be divided. Persona can also be divided. So now there will be another persona who is going to take about the sound only. There will be another persona who is going to take care of the logistics, the tables, chair, and all those things. Okay, so that is the persona. If any counter question is there, happy to answer that one. Please don't feel to do the counter question. If no counter question, then I think we can continue with our next presenter.
Sure.
So
this silence, I will take Dipti to.
yeah, thanks. There's no questions
Yes.
from my side.
Mm, mm, mm. If you are able to see the
Dipti, not
yes.
yet.
So
We
your
can
screen loading, that's what it says. Got it?
Yep, it is coming.
Okay. Okay. So thanks, Nandan, of what the topic you covered, and previously Share and Abdul started the journey of our BRC February month's cohort to launch and continue product learning. So this book, as we know, it's a novel which starts last month on Lean UX by Jeff Gertel. In the journey, before I share my condition, brief but for the new members, maybe part of this journey for this is since in 1.5 to 2 years now. Two decades in the profession have majorly focused on the product development, enterprise agile coaching, project and program delivery. I work currently with the Nest Digital on the enterprise agile coach capacity. Okay, coming back to the book, where are we? So if we look at focusing on the section 1 and 2, the half part of the first half of the book, I'm going to talk on this chapter 4 on the process side. We just heard Masnandan covering this chapter 3 on the vision framing and outcomes. We'll continue this on the designing aspects moreover. What is the attributes? So as we know, we have seen the book contribution here that Lean UX is nothing but it's like a practice of bringing the true nature of the product to be lighter, faster in a collaborative and cross-functional way. And more emphasis is to reduce those thorough documentation, which ends up as lying in one of the corner. Once the product is up and running and well received by the and book helps us in understanding those aspects. As we see on the left, the small picture, primarily we are focused the left user experience side. Yeah, to receive that, the visual design and appealing to user plays a very big role to drive the business strategy. Let us see how we are achieving. So in the last Sunday session by Samsher, we saw the 3 foundation of Lean UX are design thinking, agile software development, and the Lean startup method. With 2 other concepts along with it. So it is entirely on the collaborative design. What we see on the right, how collaborative design plays an important role. It describes the shift in our design process. There are many techniques we are going through. We are going to see that in the coming slides. Primarily, it is like a more collaborative approach. It aims for the first speed. Speed first. How we can work faster and still have a team involved in the whole process on how we are building it, how we are designing it. And we prioritize learning. It's a group learning. And then we use a key tool to achieve this as in building the MVP. We all know MVP. Model.
Tipti, your voice is very
Is,
feeble.
Yeah.
Actually. Is it to me or?
Oh. Is it how it is now?
Yeah, it is better now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope till now I was audible and all of you are with me.
Slightly, yes. So if you want to slightly repeat, that will be great.
Okay, let me go back. So this is the book. This is me.
Yeah, so this is fine. The next slide is also fine.
Yeah, and chapter 4 is what we are going to focus on the collaborative design. And this is on the background, like till now, this particular book is practicing to bring the true nature of the product to be lighter and developed in a collaborative and cross-functional way. As we saw in the book we started, Samsher has already covered this. The Lean UX, the foundation are these 3 pillars. Design thinking, based on agile product development principle and startup method. How we practice that. So coming to chapter 4, primarily, as you see on the right side, what is collaborative design? It's like an entire team involvement on designing, understanding everyone's view, building the product design with a more collaborative way. We aimed for speed first. There are a lot of messages on the WhatsApp. I'm not sure. Is it something, am I audible?
Yep, you are audible now.
Okay.
Clearly, yes.
Okay, okay. And we prioritize learning. Everyone's involvement and everyone's like sabka saath sabka vikas. And the whole idea is to build and achieve the MVP of the product. And I hope everyone is clear on what is MVP. Okay. So what are the benefits of cross functional collaboration on the designing aspect? Why everybody gets to design? How low fidelity artifacts the increased collaboration and building a shared understanding. Because as we see here in the project, the picture, people from all different aspects and everyone can contribute how to design better. A collaborative approach on everyone's understanding will help us to have that open mind that everyone's idea will always be bigger compared to my just one idea on individually. And this technique enables this productive way of working in terms of these 3 aspects on the design front. They're talking about the design studio, style guide and pattern library, and different collaboration technique. Different collaboration technique is primarily focused because of the diverse team who are not co-located. So use of different tools, basically. Any of the tool anyone is using here as in like an online for the contributors across the globe who are contributing on designing aspects. Any tool anyone would like to name?
Jaira?
Okay, Jira, Jaira, Jira, whatever we pronounce, but that particular tool will not help you on the design, right? It's like a collection of the requirement collection and tracking of how are we progressing. For the designers, I'm talking. Any collaboration tool? Collaborative tool? Anyone is using? Have you heard Figma?
Not design. Yeah. Yes, I heard Figma.
Yeah.
So Figma is one of the tool which I have used in past, and also Wiki Pages, which is like an open drawing tool to put up your ideas.
Oh,
Any other tool?
yeah, Miro board.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Miro
Miro
is
board.
there.
Yeah, Miro. Again, pronunciation
Miro,
will
Miro,
differ.
yes.
We want to follow Europe, US, with, English. But yes, so Miro board is and Figma is another tool. So there are other couple of paid subscription tools which are primarily for collaboration purpose. Let us understand these 2 other aspects. What studio how works and what are the style guides and libraries. And the more important here, what team is talking or the author is talking is like a hippo. Anyone knows what is hippo culture?
It will be great if you
This
explain.
hippo culture.
Yeah, it will be great if you explain
Yeah,
that one.
hippo is hippo is a very common term, not just in mining but even otherwise, even in for the development people, development team members. Hippo is an anti-pattern. Hippo is a short form, highest paid person's opinion, which is an anti-pattern, and you should always avoid hippo culture. it is the picture, it means the highest person. The development side, if architecture or architect is the only person who drives what logic should work, how many code lines the development should be, and how exactly you should be developing that particular piece, and not allowing juniors to use their own brain. Similarly, in the designing, that's what the author is putting it across, that practice of calling in a designer or a design team to drop in, come with something beautiful, and move away from the heroes. There are some designer heroes, hero-based design. You should avoid this. In this, team rarely learn anything new, because it's only a person's idea team is expected to be following. So increase the design IQ. Let everyone in the team to participate and bring in their own ideas. And finally, collaborative design is nothing but currency to Lean UX. It is a shared understanding between all the team members to contribute equally and have entire team-wide shared understanding of what is to be built and why we are building it. Yeah, so collaborative design, the first component is a designer-led activity primarily, but that highest paid person is expected to facilitate the team. Sometimes a person can have one-on-one session with the developer as well, but it can be entire team taking together and do the design studio exercise. And it is key to collaborate with a diverse group of members. And what is expected at the end of this activity? To reach the outcome of a collaborative design is typically consists of low fidelity sketches and wireframes to be ready. So running a design studio is one of the kind of an activity. As you see on the right side, a popular way of doing working session with the cross-functional team. And this is also called a design sarat, a way to bring cross-functional team together to visualize potential solutions to a design problem. And on the right, you can see this whole running a design studio has a set of activities. When it is done for the co-located team, people are put up in one room, and you can see like it can be 2 to 3 hours workshop kind of as a running session, where you will have like a problem definition and what are the constraints the product is built, your individual idea generation. Google does this very, very heavily, very frequently for anything and everything as a product they are building. Presentation by each person who are participating, and then iterate and refine, and better design will be emerged. And then team idea generation, which is a converge of all the best ideas from different people to formalize and fine-tune it. And the second component was style guide. So style guide, as we know, it is nothing but a pattern libraries. It's like a collection of what and how the design is to be built, keeping what style in mind. So style guide is nothing but a living collection of a product's customer-facing component, how it will look like. As an example, I think I have something. I had something. Where did it go? Like this, one example. We all know WhatsApp, right? So a successful style guide for WhatsApp development community is something like this. what the color symbol will be, how the black and white color would be, and what are the other color patterns, what customer facing as an I am a WhatsApp user, what will appear in what color. So a successful style guide has a 3 important characteristics: accessible, continually improve as a living document, and it's an actionable. But this is for not for us as an end user, it is for the development community who are contributing to WhatsApp product. I hope all of you are with me.
Yep, Dipti. Yes.
Yeah, so this was an example of successful style guide. Let me go back here where I was. So a style guide helps primarily to create efficiency, provide a repository for ready to go as an handy for developer community who are contributing to the product, and approved interface component that can be assembled easily when they need it, and aligned to form a workflow, how it will be used. Okay, so 2 approaches while creating a style guide, what authors explains here. One is the Big Bang, and the other is and it's very popular these days. Slow drip one, the slow drip approach. No? Okay, I'll come back more explanation to it in the coming slide. So, as it says, team takes limited amount of time as in Big Bang when it goes. And it benefits that a style guide is created in a relatively short amount of time. As at one go, you are pipelining anything and everything what will be needed as a style for the product. That is Big Bang. And it's faster, of course, because it's like a for the whole product life journey, you are making things available. Versus slow drip, the biggest benefit here is that team continues to work on the project. Slowly, we are getting as a step by step at a different time interval on what the style is going to be. We will not get anything and everything at one go. That is a slow drip. As the English word dripping is like a drop by drop, right? It's a known term for the gardening or farming, dripping process, where water is put up not at a big flow at one time, but it is like a drop by drop. Similarly, this is very popular as a concept in marketing and in designing. You are going slowly, one piece at a time, one step at a time for the audience or for the end user. That is a slow drip. Making customer to be eager to know the full and holistic and get hold the customer basically. Okay, and this whole concept, one example author gives here as a case study that is about General Electric. Enterprise grade style guide was announced in 2012, like 12 now. I did example elaborated which till date used by like serves to 8,000, more than 8,000 maybe to the G engineers. This I already spoke about. So how to create a style guide, there are two components to it. One is create a type of content and then popular item, and it is easy to use. Again, it's a approach, especially for the
Yeah, Dipti, your voice has gone again
so,
down. Sorry.
oh, okay. Okay.
Or you can switch off the
I hope I'm
camera.
audible. I'm just towards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
switch
did
off the
that I
camera if
think.
possible, so that it will release some bandwidth.
Mm. So I'm just towards the end. Have collaborative design
Sure.
is like an evaluation to UX. We have Masanandan has explained on the assumptions. I spoke about the design hypothesis, and now we are ready in the next chapter to cover the MVP, how it is done, and how what are experience as a design. That's all. Thank you for listening me. I'm dot on time. If we have any questions.
Yes, any questions for Dipti?
I'll put the camera off now. Abdul, we are on mute.
Actually, I like the word hippo, highest paid person opinion. Okay.
Ah, yeah.
Because that we always get influenced whenever we are creating something.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that is an anti-pattern, anti-culture.
Yep.
And as an Indian culture, we are always like worried to seniors if we say something, and we try to keep mum or not to counter question, and that feeds that anti agile pattern.
Yep, that's correct.
Any question, friends? No. Big silence is always worries me. Either you have understood everything or haven't understood anything.
True. Okay, so there is silence. So I believe there is no question. So I would like to know anyone who would like to nominate for the upcoming chapters. It is going to be five pages. Okay, total 10 pages. Back to back 10 pages. And it is page number 31 to 41. Any volunteer?
Yeah, because of time constraint, Abdul, before we jumping into the next, for the design, I'm not sure any one of you have seen IDEO, wonderful video on YouTube.
Yep, I heard about IDEO, yes. And I know IDEO. Yes.
It's a very, very interesting video. I saw it for the first time, maybe a decade back, but that is still true. How the design engineers and cross-functional teams are involved in designing a product, taking the ideas in a working session and finalize at the end of this exercise on a product, new product design. So please watch it. I'll share the link here. We are running on time. Abdul, you are on mute.
Yep. So no, since you're
Anyone
telling,
buyers? Yeah.
yeah.
On the
So
next chapters.
Mukaram, I just wanted to check with Mukaram. Mukaram, would you like to present next chapters?
No, this week, I will be occupied with some work, so I will not be taking. Next week, for sure I can take. From next to next week, I mean to say.
Okay, so you are part of the WhatsApp group also, right?
No. Can you just add me into that group?
Yep, sure. I will add you. So
I'd share his number today in the morning in the group to add.
yep, sure. So Ata, are you going to share something next week?
Yeah, we'll take the sixth chapter.
Chapter 4, right?
4 I spoke today.
Yes, 4 you spoke today. Then chapter 5. Okay, chapter 5 is a small one, it seems. Just a minute. Yep.
Okay, we'll take chapter 5 now.
Yep. Just a minute. Let me mark it over here. Chapter 4 completed. So Ata, you are going to take chapter 5, right?
Yeah.
So that means chapter 4 completed. Yep. So it is going to be from page number 41 to 46. Very small. Okay. So it is Ata. And then chapter 6, page number 47 to 55, 54. Again, a small chapter. Anyone from this group?
I'm willing to, sir, take up one topic.
Okay. Asad, right?
Right, right.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Asad. So next time, just slightly prepared and just share your learnings. Okay.
Sure, sure. Can you
Asad.
repeat once the chapter and the page number?
Yes. For Ata, it is 41 to 46.
41 to 46.
And for Asad, it is 47 to 54.
47 to 54 for me.
Yes. Yes.
Chapter
It is,
Six.
yes. Chapters. Yes,
Six.
chapter 6. Yes.
chapter 6. Okay, okay, okay. Sure, sure, sure.
Okay. Great. And I will share the link for the next webinar as well. So it is a free one. So please do join.
Okay. Have a nice Sunday
Great.
ahead.
Thank you.
you.